Hey guys, Adam and Roger here with Anglers to talk to you about one of the coolest things that has happened in the Chesapeake Bay in a really, really long time, and that is the invasion of redfish, or red drum. They're a member of the drum family. They're super cool. People get really excited about those nice black tail spots. They fight hard, they taste good, they're fun to catch. You can catch them from a boat, from shore, all around. Just a really, really cool thing that's happening to the bay right now.
All right, like Adam's saying, they've kind of been here for a little bit. Probably 2 years now. Last year, people are catching some smaller ones, but this year, really why we're doing the video is because we're really starting to see some good size slot drum and in numbers as well, not just one here and there. You can actually go out and target them and catch them. And again, in numbers, not just one or two and not just little puppies, actually something to take home for dinner. So really, if you're anywhere in the Upper Bay, the Magathie, the Severn, the Road, the West River, the South River, even like Bodkin Creek, I've heard they've been catching them up there as well. Shallow water typically is what we're doing.
Yep.
So we'll get into the gear in a little bit, but you'll see there's some lighter lures in here. So yeah, shallow water.
Yeah. So shallow water is definitely a key when you're looking for these redfish. And just to touch on something Roger said about anywhere in the Upper Bay, these tactics that we're going to talk about today for redfish, they're going to work anywhere in the bay. Where they are more common, a little further south, where people are always catching them. But what's really the focus is the redfish in the Upper Bay, this kind of new phenomenon that we're experiencing.
Right.
So on that note, you want to talk about some rod and reel choices?
Yeah, so kind of skip over the lures for a minute. My rod and reel choice, I'm gonna go with something a little lighter. This is a 7-foot light Zodius with a 2500 Stratic on it. I like something a little bit lighter because like I'm saying, we're throwing lighter lures. I want this rod to be able to load up and really launch this thing. What do you got here?
Yeah, so that's a great option right there. You can't go wrong with either of the ones that we're going to show you today. I upsized my gear a little bit with my choice. This is a 6'6" medium Fenwick Eagle. It's sensitive, but it has a really nice backbone. We got a 3000 size Daiwa Fuego on here. Now the reason you may want to upsize your gear when you're fishing for these fish is for two reasons. One, you might end up with a big rockfish or even a big slot, or if you're lucky, an overslot redfish. And you want to be able to get that fish in. Thus we upsize the reel a little bit and the backbone of the rod. Another thing is when you're fishing something like a popping cork, which we're going to talk about in a minute, if you have a little bit of a stiffer rod, you'll have an easier time getting that thing to chug.
Just easier on your wrists as well.
Absolutely.
For sure, you'll notice that.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of jump right into the gear. Line leader wise, I'm using like a 10-pound braid and a 10-pound fluoro leader, usually about 6-foot leader. Lure wise, I got all kinds of things up here. I like for top water, I like a spook or basically any kind of walk the dog style bait, which both of these will do. I like the spooks with the dressed hook, just kind of personal preference. And then you'll see we got some perch pounders here. Really how I found out about all of these redfish being up here was just perch fishing, and next thing you know, I'm catching, 18, 20-inch red drum. And not just one, a couple of them. So they like these perch pounders a lot. The bigger one is good just because some of these drum are a little bit bigger. And then I got light jig heads, 3/16 quarter-ounce jig heads, and I'll do like a 3-inch Z-Man minnows on the back of that. Again, shallow water, so these light jig heads are going to be key. Same kind of thing, similar to the perch pounder. I got the Z-Man Willow Vibes and the Bullseye spinnerbait. Bullseye spinnerbait, I like the minnows on the back of that as well. And really, I like anything with a gold blade, just kind of personal preference, but gold blade seems to work well for me.
I do agree. I've found better success with a gold blade, especially with redfish. I don't know why.
Right, yeah.
But
they just seem to like that gold blade.
They like the gold blade. In terms of some other options here, I really like to use a popping cork rig when I'm fishing for red drum. So if you look right here, basically a popping cork rig consists of an actual popping cork here which is just a float with a cupped face to allow it to do that pop. And you'll have a leader and a jig head and a plastic suspended underneath. What we have here is a 3/16 ounce GI jig with a Z-Man 3.75 Shrieks. I like those smaller profiles with the plastics. What's cool about the Shrieks is it'll sort of zigzag down as it falls. Now the way you fish a popping cork, obviously you'll tie your main line up onto this swivel, you'll cast it out, and you'll give it a pop pop, the lure will come up and zigzag down. You pop pop, the lure comes up, zigzags down. Now, if you're in shallow water, you're gonna want like a shorter leader, like this. Obviously you don't want your bait dragging the bottom, you want it to suspend there in the water column, and maybe a smaller popping cork so that you don't spook the fish. They might want less of a commotion. Now, if you want more of a commotion or you're in deeper water, you'll go with the bigger popping cork. Again, with that deeper water, you want a longer leader, 3, sometimes even 4 feet, depends how deep you're fishing. If you're in dirty water, you may want a brighter plastic on there as well. And this is a Mr. Twister, just a curly tail plastic, a little bit of a different style. It's going to twirl on the way down as opposed to zigzag. Again, 3/16 ounce, 8 ounce head. You don't want that thing to fall too fast when you're enticing those redfish. And yeah, what else you got to say?
So really, I mean, get out there and do it. They've been here for a while. Like you said, we're catching lots of them. This is, growing up here, I never thought I would be catching slot-sized red drum north of the Bay Bridge, but here we are. They're good fish to catch. They fight like crazy. When you hook one, they scream drag.
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as you hook one, you'll know that it's something you haven't caught before, if you haven't caught before.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're super exciting, really fun to catch. It really is the most exciting thing that's happened up here in probably 20 years.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So get out there, guys, and go catch some redfish.